Somebody finally beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That team was the Buffalo Bills. They hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season, 30-21. And the reason why Buffalo won this game, why they were able to do what the rest of the league tends to not be able to do, is actually have the balls to put this team away. In the fourth quarter, Buffalo was up 23-21. And Sean McDermott had a big decision to make. Do you play it safe? Go for the field goal. If you make it, Kansas City has to engineer a touchdown drive to win it. Or do you risk going for it on 4th and 2, getting stopped, and all Kansas City needs is a field goal to win? What did Sean McDermott do? He went for the big boss decision. He goes forward on 4th and 2. And not only does it pay off, but that decision wins the game for Buffalo because Josh Allen rips off a 26-yard beast mode touchdown run to put the game on ice. And that was the play, the moment, the decision that won this game for the Bills and gave the Chiefs their first L of the season. We've seen so many times the Chiefs be in this situation where a team has them up against the ropes. They got a chance to deliver the final knockout blow, but they're just too scared to go for the final punch, and they end up losing. Look what happened to the Buccaneers. Look what happened to the Denver Broncos. The Buffalo Bills said, nah. If we're going to lose this game, we're going to get stopped on this 4th and 2. We're not going to lose this game playing it safe. And that's the mentality that you got to have when you play the Chiefs. This is not a team that you can just sit back and play conservatively and say, we're going to rely on our defense to win. No, you have to win these games when you play Kansas City in the fourth quarter, and that's what the Buffalo Bills did. Not only did they get that big touchdown with Josh Allen on 4th and 2, but early in the fourth quarter, he also threw a touchdown to Curtis Samuel as well. So the Bills played their best in the fourth quarter as compared to other teams when they've lost to Kansas City. They tend to play their worst football in the fourth. That's what you got to do. That's what it takes to beat this team. You got to play in the fourth quarter your best football. It's a 4-quarter game when you play Kansas City. And for the majority of this ball game, it felt like the Bills were in control. Even when the Chiefs were able to get a slight lead on them, you still felt confident that the Bills were going to be able to pull off this win. You knew it wasn't going to be easy, but their defense was playing really well. Ed Oliver, he wasn't a guy that showed up a lot on the stat sheet, but if you watch the game, he made his presence felt. How about Von Miller? I don't know if this is his first game back from that suspension, but listen, he looks like he's going to be a big factor in the Bills when they make their playoff run this year. And when they signed Von Miller in free agency a few years ago, he was supposed to be the missing piece to them getting over the hump. He was supposed to be that X factor. Well, he's playing some of the best football at the tail end of his career. And the pressure that he was generating on Mahomes late in this game was a large reason why the Bills were able to clutch up and get some big-time stops late in this game. Von Miller was on fire. That pass rush was on fire. And the Bills just played an all-around great game, especially once they got into the final 15 minutes, because that's what it takes to beat a championship team like Kansas City. You got to have that championship DNA where you're not afraid to roll the dice and make some big boss decisions, because that's what Kansas City is willing to do. That's what it takes to beat this team. You got to take risks. You're not going to beat a team like Kansas City without having a few situations during the game where you got to roll the dice. That's why the Bills are the first team to say that they gave the Chiefs a L this year, and nobody else can say that, because the Bills did what other teams were afraid to do, take chances late in the game, and that's why they're walking out with the win. Now, Josh Allen, I don't believe that this game alone propels him as the MVP favorite over Lamar Jackson. But it definitely helps his MVP case if he can continue to play at a high level as he has for the majority of this year. Then if the Bills end up being in the conversation to get the 1 seed over the Ravens and the Chiefs, I say give it to Josh Allen. But the Bills haven't already have lost to Baltimore and Josh Allen getting severely outplayed by Lamar in that game, I still don't feel like he has that big of an edge when it comes to his MVP argument over Lamar. I still feel like Lamar Jackson is the front runner, but games like this show you why you can't just, you know, overlook Josh Allen in that MVP debate, because that 26-yard run to me was one of the biggest plays of the season. I know that, it wasn't as spectacular as what Garrett Wilson's one-handed catch Thursday night against the Texans was, but this was one of the best plays of the year, because you have an elite quarterback that's going up against Patrick Mahomes, who's supposed to be the kryptonite to everybody in the league, and yet he steps up, takes the game in his hands, not only gets the first down, but he wins it for Buffalo. He breaks a couple of tackles. That was one of the more impressive plays that I've seen this season, because it was the play that the Bills had to have happen if they were going to win this game. If Josh Allen doesn't score that touchdown on 4th and 2 and you end up still having to settle for a field goal, who says that the Chiefs don't win this game? That play right there is what won this game for the Buffalo Bills. And I'm so happy now that, us as NFL fans now have a little bit of a reason to relax, and there's actually a team out there that has what it takes to beat the Chiefs. Now it doesn't look like it's guaranteed the Chiefs are going to three-peat. Now, after the game, Mahomes was whispering something to Josh Allen's ear. He probably was saying, "Hey, man, like, you're never going to see you again in the postseason." Josh Allen's like, "I'm counting on it." The question is now, okay, Josh Allen, you're 4-1 against Patrick Mahomes in the regular season, but what are you going to do come postseason? Are the Bills good enough to take down the Chiefs in the playoffs when it really matters the most? Because in the grand scheme of things, yeah, it feels good to beat the Chiefs, give them their first ass whooping of the year, but are you going to do it when it counts? Because Kansas City doesn't really care about the regular season. After the game, Patrick Mahomes is like, it's a little bit of, some pressure off our backs, because now we don't got to worry about trying to be undefeated and whatnot. Now we can play a little bit more loose. Like, you can tell that Kansas City, they're coasting through the regular season. In the playoffs, though, you're going to see a way different team than what you've seen throughout the regular season, which is why you can never use the regular season to define Kansas City, because they're one of those teams that once they get into the postseason, they just flip that switch and they play a different brand of football. So congratulations to the Buffalo Bills on getting a very big win. Now if Kansas City has a couple of more losses and you keep winning, you can end up getting home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which is greatly going to help you, because you rather have to play Mahomes at home versus having to go on the road and play him in his building, because we know how tough it is to win on an Arrowhead. But at the same time, having home field advantage, I don't really think it's that big of an advantage per se, because we saw the Bills have home field advantage last year against Kansas City, and Mahomes still walked into their trap and took it over. So we'll see. I think that you can't really form an opinion about, how far both of these teams are going to go in the playoffs based off this game. I'm not going to say the Chiefs are the best team. I'm not going to say that the Bills are the best team in the NFL after winning this game, because it's just one game. And they did get outclassed by the Baltimore Ravens. I just think when you play against Kansas City, you just tend to play your best football, because something about playing against Mahomes and the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, just brings the best out of the opponents that the Chiefs play for some reason. But now that they got this loss, I think that you're going to see a team that, they play a little bit more looser, and I still think the Chiefs finish this season off getting the 1 seed in the AFC.